Welcome back to the deep dive. So today, well, we're wading into some pretty complex territory. Affairs. We all know they're linked with, betrayal, heartbreak, all of that. But the thing is, they keep happening. Our sources show this persistent, almost magnetic pull. So for this deep dive, we're going to try and put the moral side aside for a moment, just analytically. We really want to peel back the layers and understand why. Why is this thrill and excitement, as the research calls it, of a secret relationship so powerful, even when everyone knows the potential fallout is huge? So if we just focus on that initial pull, that hook, what's the core dynamic? What makes it so alluring?
Yeah, it's fascinating when you look at the sources together.
Yeah.
The central finding is surprisingly consistent. It's usually not about, say, a deeper connection or finding your soulmate. Surprisingly enough, it really boils down to the sense of freedom, almost a radical freedom and escape that the affair partners seem to represent. And that feeling comes directly from the relationship, lacking all those traditional expectations and responsibilities, the very things you actually need for real commitment.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. Maybe start with what someone might be trying to escape from. I mean, in a typical committed relationship, you've got this whole list of mutual obligations, right? Honesty, loyalty, and maybe the big one, accountability. You're expected to answer for things, your time, decisions, shared money. And the sources point out, yeah, these things are necessary. You need them for a real bond. But, for some people, after a while, it just starts to feel heavy, maybe restrictive or limiting, as the sources put it.
It's often about the sheer weight of those everyday obligations. That's what seems to fuel the desire for escape.
Yeah.
I mean, think about what long-term commitment actually involves day to day.
Yeah.
Sharing logistics, negotiating finances, managing emotional stuff when someone's sick. You have to actually work through conflicts when they come up. It's the work of building stability.
Heavy lift, as you called it.
Exactly. And when someone compares that to the dynamic with an affair partner, wow, the difference is really stark. An affair partner, see, they aren't entitled to know your schedule or your full financial picture or, your deepest fears. They're not calling you about a leaky faucet or wanting to discuss the budget for next year.
Right. None of the day-to-day grind.
Precisely. And that lack of practical obligation makes it incredibly easy to just let your guard down, to exist purely in this curated moment of enjoyment.
And what the research suggests here is a very specific kind of motivation kicking in. It's this intense craving for, high reward experiences, but with almost no effort. The sources talk about wanting to be spoiled and pampered, but crucially, without the obligations and responsibilities that come with being a spouse. So it's like the ultimate deal. Instant gratification, no strings attached. The relationship only exists in the fun moments, never the tough ones.
And that perspective, it's really key, because it points to a deeper kind of frustration, maybe even with responsibility itself. Our analysis suggests, well, there's a group of people who start seeing traditional commitment not as security, but more like a long, boring to-do list. They just want to escape. So if you see marriage or a long-term thing as too confining, then the affair, which feels like it offers this immediate boundary-free excitement, well, it looks like the fastest way out.
Psychologically speaking, at least.
Right. It's almost like a rebellion against the complexity of real life and real relationships.
That makes a lot of sense. Running away from friction, essentially. Okay, let's shift a bit. What else fuels this? Looking at, say, the internal drivers versus external ones, internally the big ones seem to be excitement and escape. Simple as that sometimes. If your main relationship feels, mundane, stagnant, the newness brings this intense passion. It's a break from that mundane routine of everyday life the sources mention.
Yes, and it's often a very functional break, even if it's subconscious. The affair partner becomes like a psychological get-out-of-jail-free card, an emergency exit. It works as an escape from real problems or conflicts in the main relationship. It gives you this temporary relief, a shot of positive feeling.
So instead of facing the music,
Right?
say communication breakdowns or feeling distant,
Right.
and doing the hard work to fix it.
Right. You just opt for the distraction. It feels like hitting pause on the problems, but
Yeah.
it doesn't actually solve anything, of course.
And this strategy, this escapism, it's not happening in a bubble, is it? There are external factors pushing it along, too.
Oh, definitely. And this is where it gets really interesting, because society, or at least media, plays a big part.
How so?
Well, we really can't ignore how media portrays affairs. Think about it. Movies, TV shows, books, they constantly, persistently glamorize them.
Yeah.
This creates a very specific, often romanticized narrative around what they call forbidden love. And notice how these stories are usually told. They focus almost entirely on the highs, right? The passion, the secrets, the danger.
Yeah, they show all the exciting bits.
Exactly. The thrilling rendezvous, the stolen moments.
But they leave out the messy parts.
Precisely. They rarely show the fallout. You don't see the characters meticulously deleting messages, or the financial strain of keeping secrets, or just that low-level constant guilt that builds up. By cutting out all the difficult, mundane reality and just showing the peak excitement, the cultural story makes the secret affair seem way more passionate and, frankly, interesting than a normal, stable marriage.
And that manufactured image, it seriously bumps up the allure, makes the risk feel maybe worth the temporary drama.
Absolutely. It feeds right into that desire for escape we were talking about.
Which kind of brings us full circle back to the nature of the affair itself. While that secrecy fuels the thrill, it's the whole forbidden angle. The sources are really clear. The whole thing is built on deception, on lies. You're essentially trading honesty for, well, for sustained deceit. And that's just not a stable foundation, is it?
No, not at all. And this is really the turning point. This is where the illusion starts to crumble. That very lack of accountability, the thing that felt so freeing at first, it quickly starts to make the relationship toxic, destructive even. People chase this low-commitment idea, but they don't quite grasp that zero accountability also means zero security, zero safety net.
Yeah. And let's make that instability really concrete. Like, in a committed relationship, there's this basic understanding, right? Life throws curveballs, job loss, illness, family crisis. Your partner is supposed to be there. It's part of the deal.
The commitment itself implies that.
Right. But affair partners, by their very nature, as the sources say, they are not obligated to be there for each other through the ups and downs of life.
They're basically fair weather relationships,
Yeah.
built only for the good times.
And that lack of guaranteed support, that's where so much of the eventual pain comes from, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It sounds abstract, low commitment, but what the research shows again and again is that when one partner can just easily walk away when things get tough, that low bar translates directly into pretty intense emotional pain for the person left behind, or even for both, eventually.
Because the relationship was only ever designed for pleasure.
Exactly. There's no built-in loyalty mechanism to handle hardship. It just wasn't part of the design.
It's such a paradox, then. It starts by giving this huge feeling of freedom, maybe emotional intensity, but because there's no structure underneath it, no real commitment, it ends up creating these intense feelings of betrayal, of hurt, when the excitement fades or reality bites.
Absolutely. The lack of shared investment means when the affair inevitably ends, and it often ends suddenly, well, the emotional crash is just devastating. And it's devastating precisely because there was never any real agreement to see each other through tough times. The excitement was borrowed, really, paid for with long-term emotional cost.
And it's not just the affair ending badly. The sources also highlight the broader damage, right? That constant secrecy, the guilt. It eventually catches up, as they put it, to everyone involved. And this almost always leads to what the material calls a messy and painful ending. Whether someone finds out or the people involved just realize it can't go on.
Yeah. So if we pull back and connect this to the bigger picture, it really clarifies what genuine fulfillment seems to require. For a traditional, healthy relationship to actually work long-term, it needs consistency, stability, a connection built on those foundational things: honesty, trust, and yes, that accountability we keep coming back to.
Those are the very things that let a partnership actually survive life's inevitable storms.
Right.
And it's so striking that these are the exact qualities, stability, real support, deep connection built on truth, that are fundamentally overlooked, as the sources say, when someone is caught up in the allure of an affair partner. It's like people chase the temporary excitement, which is inherently fleeting and often based on lies, and they forget that committed relationships, even with all the responsibilities, offer the structure needed for actual lasting happiness, real fulfillment.
The excitement becomes a distraction from the real work, maybe.
So wrapping this up, we've really explored this core tension today. On one side, you have the powerful allure of temporary freedom, freedom from responsibility, from the burdens of everyday life. But that freedom comes at this incredibly high cost. Total instability, a foundation of deception, and ultimately no one to rely on when you genuinely need support.
That sums it up well. The sources really compel us to see that while chasing that fleeting excitement is tempting, real, enduring fulfillment seems to demand prioritizing accountability and commitment. If you're looking for sustainable happiness, for genuine security, you can't build it on something designed purely for escape. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over based on what we've discussed. If the main attraction of an affair is escaping responsibility, What does it tell us about our fundamental human need for real connection and commitment? That the stability and fulfillment we crave ultimately depend on the very accountability the affair was trying to avoid. Think about that paradox, that tension between desire and structure.